Hey everyone, it's Namir. So today I decided to do something a little different. No, it's not really a little different in the YouTube community on the gaming side of things, but for my channel it's a little new. I've been playing a lot of Zelda recently. It's just kind of been like a Zelda week for me and a few other people. So I thought, why not make a video on my top 10 favorite bosses from the Legend of Zelda series. Also, I'm wearing this sick t-shirt just for the occasion. Oh, keep calm and play the song. All right, let's get into it. I always remember this fight being fun. It was a bit frustrating at first, but once you got used to it, it was pretty easy and even a little whimsical. I even feel a little bad for him, or at least the pose that make up Valhalla. There they were, having a fun little dance party, and in waltzes Link like he owns the place and crashes the party. And does he crash that party hard, let me tell you. Plus, I always liked his battle music. I remember playing Majora's Mask as a kid, often with one of my friends. Odala became a bit of an inside joke with us, mostly because we thought it was just such a strange choice for a boss. I mean, Giant Tiki Man? What the hell, Nintendo? It's great, don't get me wrong, but just, what? Anyway, the music that starts up as he makes his entrance is epic, and the chanting always added to the battle for me, like, shit, this Giant Tiki Man is serious business. Even if all my friend and I did were make up misheard words to replace what he was actually saying. All in good fun, of course. For that, it takes my number 9 spot, just because it was always a good time when it came to fighting Odala. I just have one word for Volvagia. Fabulous. I mean, look at him! Look at that mane! That gorgeous, fiery mane! Look at the way he tosses it around when he comes out of his little hole, like, bitch better not mess up my weave! Brilliant. I always felt bad for killing him too. I love dragons. Especially sassy dragons, and does Volvagia ever have sass? I don't know, I just always loved this fight as a kid, and I always admired how well they animated his hair, how he flips it about. You know what, I think I just like Volvagia for his hair. He needs to let me know where he gets it done. Ah yes, classic Nintendo giant hand boss. Quite a few of these guys in most Nintendo games, and while I do like them all, Godan always held a bit of a special place in my heart, and I think that mostly has to do with the fact that this was such a turning point in Wind Waker for Link. This was his moment to prove his worth to the gods. He had fought so hard to get this far, and this was the final battle before he could get up there and ring that bell to prove himself. Plus, it's hilarious to see him shoot arrows out of his nose whenever you run low. What is there to say about Got, or Goat, or however you want to pronounce his name, that hasn't been said already? He's a giant mechanical bull who shoots lasers out of his head and farts bombs. Plus, this entire battle is pretty much just one giant race. How could that not be fun? It did get a little frustrating when the rocks he'd kick up would hit you, especially when you were right behind him, but it obviously isn't enough for me to place him any lower on this list. He's a boss I find myself going back to when I restart my 3 days in game, just because he's that much fun to fight. Plus I like seeing all the Gorons happy whenever the snow melts. Now, don't get me wrong. Pretty much every Ganondorf fight is epic in its own right. But me personally, I prefer the Wind Waker version of this fight. Puppet Ganon is pretty creepy, yeah, but that's not the final battle I'm talking about. You're tag teaming with Zelda, you've got water everywhere pouring down and threatening to drown you in its depths, that epic music. I also love how chill Ganondorf is about this whole fight. He takes it so lightly, and I know it's because he's cocky and assumes he's gonna win, and he just keeps laughing the whole time. Even when you drive that sword straight into his head at the end of the battle, he laughs. It still gives me chills to hear him laugh like that, and I've played this game countless times. Also, can we just take a moment to talk about how he pimp slaps Zelda? I know I shouldn't, but I giggle every time. I know what you're all thinking. What What? Nemi, how could you put a bird above Ganondorf, the king of evil? Hello? Easy. Because he's fabulous. But seriously, I always enjoyed this fight. Link was finally getting revenge on that damn bird for kidnapping his sister, and you can tell he enjoyed it. The first half of the battle sequence always keeps me on the edge of my seat. The water is quickly filling in, you've got Bokoblins breaking out of pots and chasing after you, and the Helmarot King following your every move, trying to take you out, but instead taking out the wooden bridges, leaving gaping holes behind you. It's a race against time, then you finally find yourself at the top, only to be greeted face to face with the giant bird. One smack in the face with your hammer and he's down, but it's not done there. The fight continues with some pretty epic music as you continue to wail on him with your hammer some more. It always felt good to me to whack that damn thing in the face after all the misery that he caused Link. Oh, and can we talk about his death sequence, please? It's like the end of a Broadway show. Spotlights and an overly dramatic death sequence. Oh yeah, fabulous. While the Spirit Temple isn't my absolute favorite of all the temples, its boss ranks pretty high up on my list. The fight starts with Kume and Kotake, the comic relief, two witches and surrogate mothers of Ganondorf. Yeah, that's not weird at all. The whole fight is actually pretty easy and really self-explanatory. Then, halfway through the battle, the two witches join together to form Twin Rova, the suddenly sexy Gerudo. Even Link is surprised and confused. Who knew magic could work such wonders on the two ugly hags? The rest of the fight is really simple as well. Absorb 3 hits of the same element in a row and use it against her. Like all the other Gerudos, her cries of pain are overly sexualized, but hey, I'm not complaining. The aftermath of the battle is pretty funny as well, and something I always found interesting were their last words. I'll come back to haunt you. This always seemed a bit odd to me since it raised the question, is Kume and Kotake really just one person with perhaps a multiple personality disorder? Did only one of them say it? Or was it simply a translation error? Ah, the theories! But I'm reading too much into it. Either way, this deserves my number 3. As many of you know, Link to the Past was the very first Zelda game I ever played, and is also my favorite. So it shouldn't come as any surprise to you that the big battle against the main villain of the game is so high up on this list. This fight was always fun, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was the first Zelda game to introduce the idea of using the enemy fire against him. We also can't forget the twist ending to that fight, where it turned out that Aghanim was just the alter ego of Ganon all along. This fight, or these fights rather, were always very climactic, and as they should be. The final battle between good and evil, between light and dark. It may have gotten a little annoying, more so the battle against Ganon than anything, but being the very first of many final battles I'd have in any given Zelda game, the feeling of absolute joy when you finally destroy him feels good, man. Feels good. Can I just say this? I need to get this out of the way. Best boss ever. Yep, Bongo Bongo takes the #1 spot. Yeah, I know, he's a generic hand boss, but I don't care. Even as a kid, Bongo Bongo was always my favorite. I remember being absolutely terrified of Goma, to the point where I had to get my friend to beat Goma for me. But Bongo Bongo? No problem, I'll take a limbless, scarecrow-looking evil spirit with giant severed hands any day. The Shadow Temple is my absolute favorite temple, and it was finished off with an equally amazing boss. His opening sequence has always given me chills, and to this day I find myself drumming my hands along the way he does on his giant drum. Bongo Bongo always interested me because he raises a lot of questions as to exactly who he could be. Was he the man who created the Lens of Truth? This seems to be quite a popular theory among Zelda fans, and it's probably my favorite. Another popular theory is that Bongo Bongo, as a human, stole the Lens of Truth, which would explain his severed hands, seeing as cutting off the hands of a thief was a common punishment back in medieval times. His head has also been cut off, suggesting he was executed. Yeah, I know. I was shocked too when I found out that the creepy red eye thing was actually his neck. Ugh. Also, did you know that Bongo Bongo sings along with his own beat during the boss battle? Here, take a listen. Either way, this always has been and always will be my favorite boss, and the fact that he's absolutely shrouded in mystery just makes it 10 times better. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into my video. If you liked it, you should go check out my other videos, because I got a few more. Not quite like this one, but I think you'll enjoy them. They are about video games after all. And if you want to see more, you can always subscribe.